Well, for the very latest, let's cross live to our reporter. Antonia Kerrigan is at that farmers' fair for us. Antonia, firstly, some scuffles we saw earlier as the president arrived there this morning. How is he being received? What's the latest there?
Well, as far as we know, those involved in the scuffles didn't actually see the president. He arrived and was very quickly whisked into a breakfast meeting with a group of union representatives. However, at the exact same time that he was arriving, members of the unions Coordination Rurale and the FNSEA, who are two very significant unions in these discussions, marched through the agricultural fair, booing, blowing whistles, shouts of Macron démission, calling for the president's resignation. And we saw clashes too with members of the CRS, who are riot police, not necessarily usually called to intervene at agricultural fairs, but they are absolutely everywhere. There is a very serious, palpable security presence. Only just now we heard announced over the tannoy that the fair would not be opening to the public as planned immediately. We don't yet know when it will open. They said in the current context they wouldn't be opening, so we're just waiting to see if this dies down or what happens next. Of course, he had this breakfast with 5 major unions. We're waiting to hear more. He had originally planned to organise a debate, and it was very quickly became quite a communications disaster for the Elysee Palace as he organised this debate, and very quickly the union said they would not be attending. No one wanted to go, if you will, to the party that Macron organised. So it's been a humiliating morning, an uncomfortable welcome at the end of an embarrassing few days for the French president.
Well, Antonia, as you're speaking there, we can see Emmanuel Macron, he's addressing delegates there. Farmers, just remind us how we got to this point. Farmers had largely suspended their campaign earlier this month, so why are they still unhappy?
So this sort of started, I think the straw that broke the duck's back was in October, when the unions signed an agreement with the government agreeing to an increase or a decrease in the tax subsidy on agricultural fuel. And then this was very quickly compounded with lots of other sources of anger for farmers, including competition they deem unfair from, for instance, including other European countries who are not subject to the same rules and regulations as they are. And gradually the backlash stepped up in January with roadblocks nationwide. At the end of the month, there was the so-called Siege of Paris, where convoys of tractors blocked many of the main motorways leading to the capital. They then suspended action when the government announced 400 million euros worth of measures. However, people we've spoken to this morning say some of the promises that were made, obviously not everything, they recognise not everything can be implemented overnight, but, you know, some of the promises were not kept. They say that controls, checks on the supermarkets in terms of their practices for purchasing certain types of products, which was one of the things that the farmers were demanding. They wanted full transparency, proper controls on whether supermarkets were paying correctly for the agricultural produce they were buying. They say they were supposed to start the following weekend, and we're still yet to see them. So they are pretty angry because they sort of feel as though the government has made empty promises to assuage their anger, and then sort of moved on with their lives. Farmers enjoy around about 89% of popular support, according to recent polls. So it does, in many ways, really matter how the government handles this in terms of their popularity, especially, of course, leading up to those all-important EU elections.
Antonia, for now, thank you so much. That's our reporter, Antonia Kerrigan, joining us there from that agricultural fair here in Paris. Well, that is it from us for now.